Since I was 8 years old, I have kept a journal. When I was 12, I started writing down the vivid and emotionally powerful dreams that I remembered. I just finished my 102nd journal, which included all the significant dreams I have had in the 22 years since. 10 years ago, I transcribed all my dreams into one place where I could find a certain dream more quickly and easily compare it to others years apart from it. I felt led to reread, meditate on, and pray about them in a more focused way, excising them from the oft-times confusing context of real life. Much of my life was spent in a subconsciously rooted fear of the evil I sensed in the world. I now know I owe this to the trauma of the congenital heart condition I was born with, and of the 3 open heart surgeries and 1 diaphragm operation that I had, all in my first 18 months of life. Because of it, I see my psyche as having been put into the split state of being both at the same time what I call in this series woke and unwoke. As you see on the right side of the picture, which I call the woke side, my emotions and my sensory experience of life felt grieved by evil, angry at injustice, and frustrated at adults around me who seemed to be doing nothing to improve the state of things. I felt intense helplessness to do the good that I longed to do, and lack of many resources and a clear path to answer that call to fight the spiritual oppression, and to spare my conscience from being one of the good men who do nothing, as they say. On the other side, I was unwoke, or awake, in fight or flight mode, hypervigilant, hypercritical with my high critical thinking and high cortisol, skeptical, cynical, fearing deception from unknown sources, and overall confused. Not all aspects listed are bad, but only the Lord could sort each side out for me and tell me what the alternative was in the truth. Well, this could be understood as the difference between my sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. I see the common denominator as an imbalance of an awareness of evil as evil, even if the sources might seem good, or believing the sources seem unclear, or in some cases, seeing the sources of information as being suspicious and therefore questioning what it is that they're telling me. Thankfully, through those dreams and other ways that God has answered my request for clarity, I have come to have more of a sense of discernment, feeling loved, trust, repentance, conviction, resting in the truth, and these things that are the positive sides of the way that my brain works. As a part of the discernment process when it comes to dreaming, early on, I had this thought that the same question, the same single question, with 2 different understandings, is one way that I could begin looking at a dream after I had it, one that seemed really impactful. And that question is, why did I have this dream? Why can have the sense of what was the cause, and I can have the other sense of what was the purpose. To ask what the cause of the dream was, I would, ask, why were these people in it? Why were these symbols in it? Based on my experiences in my waking life, that my subconscious was taking in order to create the story of the dream. The purpose of the dream would be asking why God gave it to me at the time, and what I can still, glean from it, no matter how far away I am from the time that I originally had the dream. The picture that you see here was of questions I wrote down in order to help me discern how to let it change me. What can I do now after having interpreted technically what the dream meant? Because I really had a disconnect for a long time between the intellectual understanding of the interpretation and how I was supposed to let it sink in and ask the Lord to change me or how to act based on what he was teaching me. The church and family that I grew up in never taught me to seek, ask for, or consider dreams as having been from God. In fact, rather the opposite a little bit. I felt warned to be wary of anything coming from my own imagination or with high emotional impact on me. But still, God spoke to people in the Bible through dreams, and I felt like some of mine couldn't be dismissed. The fact that they were in the Bible and people learned from God or met God in their dreams helped me believe that some of my dreams that were impressed onto me emotionally, along with every detail of its story, really could be from God, who was using them to help me in areas like trusting that I'm loved, feeling that I'm loved, believing truth I was taught in the Bible, and all those things that were on that second picture of the mended heart. I have seen firsthand how right Joseph was when he said interpretation belongs to God, because there are some dreams that I understood the interpretation of immediately after I woke up, and one that, for example, I had in middle school, but I did not make key connections and fully understand what I could have learned from it at the time until exactly 14 years after I had had it. The reason I felt led to make this series that I'm calling kind of the silly name of Unwoke Dreamer is because not only do I hope someone else might be able to learn something, not only about the dreams that they may have had and what the Lord may be trying to teach them and help them truly understand on a deeper level, but just for myself in my relationship with God, to be able to remember and organize and then share not only the dreams themselves, but what I had learned, so that they might do the things that I want them to do and that God sent them to do, which are to instill in me even further the things that are on the picture that is shown here, as the Lord keeps making me whole and keeps healing the things that were broken about the way that our human nature is. And for all of us, that's how it is, really. And I want to be able to point to the Lord and how through Jesus, it's the only way that we can be healed in these ways. And I hope that you will join me in that, and that you will also be taught somehow through this offering of mine to the Lord in what I have to give. Even though I don't know exactly how he will use it, I pray that he will multiply its purposes. And I thank you all for listening to this video, and I hope that you'll join me in future ones.